Hello, everyone. I'm Alex.
I'm Andy.
And about a week ago, we really messed up.
We messed up.
About a week ago, I really messed up. I said some things I shouldn't have said on the internet. I really don't feel like the original Mario holds up. And I'm here to apologize. I'm sorry that you guys are so attached to a 40-year-old video game that you got upset about what I said. We're going to go through, read some of the comments, because there were a lot of interesting, flavorful comments left on that video. And we're also going to use that as kind of a backdrop to talk about whether Super Mario Bros. Really does hold up or not, if what I said was justified. We're going to get to the bottom of this. So by the end of this video, we'll all hopefully be on the same page.
Yeah, I guess where my stance is, I don't totally disagree with what you said. If you're going to go back and play a Mario game from that era, it's probably going to be Mario 3.
Yeah.
I think for me, the original Super Mario Bros. Is like, just, it's fun to like speedrun. It's fun to play World 1-1, or it's fun to just, do all the warps. I do disagree with the comments about the physics of it, and I do think the people that commented on that, someone had pointed out that, yeah, we had just come from like the Atari 2600 era where, like joysticks like barely worked. To have like this fluid, like side-scrolling thing to play with, I do think that has held up. I do think the physics of the first Mario are really good. For people just to be like, no, it's Super Mario Bros. And it's, the greatest game of all time, like historically speaking, sure, but like if we can't sit here and debate like that, like I think that's one thing I've learned owning a video game store and seeing multiple generations of fans and gamers come in, and also raising a child myself. Not everyone is gonna understand like the historical context of this game. It was a game, and it had a moment in time, and there's generations of gamers that will never even play this game, and the rest of us have to live with that.
Going back to the 2600 comments, I think I'll say those are probably my favorite comments, like genuinely just like the people that were giving context about their life experiences, because obviously that's not experience I have. So it was cool reading those, but it was also weird to see how much people assumed I don't play old games or something. Like, I don't know, like you see my backdrop in those videos. I guess I could just be a poser or something. I wear Vans and I don't skate, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty obvious I like old games.
That's one thing that I've enjoyed talking to you about, like getting to know you. Like you kind of, to me, you're the 360 era like kid. Like that's what you grew up with. And yeah, I've had to like recalibrate my thinking about all retro game conversations, and the fact that you're like the mid-generation of gamers out there right now, and you grew up without cartridge-based games. Like there's so many people from your generation that probably never even go back and pick up any of these games whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like we talk about like other formats, like we've talked about art and like comparing video games to collecting art or whatever, but filmmaking obviously is one that came up, and you mentioned Citizen Kane. And to me, I don't think Mario Bros is like the Citizen Kane. I feel like Citizen Kane is like Pong, or something like really, really old. To me, I'd kind of come up with the comparison of E.T. Like, I feel like Mario Bros. Is that beloved 80s thing that was just a phenomenon. And so everyone that experienced that, there's no way you're never going to say E.T. is a bad movie. I don't think E.T. is a bad movie. I think E.T. is one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
I think Mario Bros. Is one of the greatest games on the NES. But if I want to play a Mario game, I agree with your comment about Mario 3.
Yeah, and I guess to your point about the E.T. thing, I had to sit through a class about U.S. film before 1960, so I'm gonna.
There could be a better comparison. I don't know what it is.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about that,
Cool.
because I don't think it is true that Mario is like E.T. Because my interpretation, and I'm not super into movies. I took film classes, but I don't know. I kind of stopped because I don't like movies that much. What am I doing? But like,
you don't like old movies?
I liked some of them, but like my point is, that class of like directors, I guess, kind of starting with like Hitchcock and then into Spielberg, like that era of people, I feel like they were the first people who kind of grew up with movies and were then making movies based on their experience of like knowing what that art form was for their whole life. I think Mario and Citizen Kane both are earlier points where it was like the first time people kind of got a lot of stuff right that hadn't been gotten right before.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
E.T. to me feels more like a Final Fantasy VII or something. Like I agree. That makes sense. So the most liked comment with 17 likes, which is more than the video got, which also YouTube doesn't tell us how many dislikes it gets. We get like a percentage. So based on like my quick mental math, it's like 30 to 40 dislikes, which is kind of rough, but it's engagement still, so thank you. Make sure to like this video and subscribe and join our Patreon. We'll get into that a little bit more because we got more going on our Patreon than we used to. Getting into the first comment from Jimbotron8552. It's, bruh, if you think Mario 1 is clunky, you might just be bad at games. It's very straightforward and has tight controls. I'm going to start this off. I kind of am bad at games, and for some reason, I feel like that is a trend with retro gamers. Like, I guess if you're good at a game, you just play one game and get good at it.
I mean, I think there's like some carryover skills in platformers, especially of that era. I mean, I think the biggest one you have to learn is, which is hard when you're a kid, which I didn't really, in some ways I still am impatient, but sometimes you just got to be patient. You got to wait and you got to think about what you're about to do and not just like run right. You can get away with that in the first few levels of Mario, but then you kind of have to like, timing is very important.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you're not going to like take the time to figure out the timing, then yeah.
Also, I actually just I retract my statement because I've remembered the like shoot 'em up people exist, and they're like freakily good at games.
Yeah, those people are on another level.
I won't. Some game collectors are actually very good at games. I feel like there is a decent chunk that are bad, and so it's like, yeah, I am, but I don't dislike every game.
One reason I'm really happy this all happened was I think it's really boring that if the hobby and the discourse on the internet is always the same thing. Like, this game is great and we all collectively agree on that, and this game is bad and we all collectively agree it's bad. Like, that's boring and that's not good for anyone. And I think for us to be able to talk cross-generationally about this is really great. But also, like, what does it mean to be a gamer? Can I be a gamer if I've never beaten Mario Bros. 1? Can I be a gamer if I'm bad at this game? Like, can I still like that game even if I'm bad at it? There's a lot of games I haven't beaten. There's a lot of games I've 60%ed, and I love those games.
Yeah, and I feel like for a long time it was like just being a gamer was like such a niche thing, and it's like it was kind of just like a specific group of people that were born in a specific era that were like kind of perpetuating gaming. But it's like all the children those people raised or just that were born significantly after that are not all children anymore. So it's like we're gonna have different perspectives, and I don't know, I don't think we can operate as a monolith as much as we have been. Going back to the other thing that this comment touches on about me not liking the Mario controls, it might just be a Mario thing. Like, there are Mario games I do like. I'd say my favorite Mario game is probably Land 2.
I thought you were going to say Paper Mario.
No,
I don't. You really like the movement in Paper Mario.
I don't really count those, but
I didn't
Super Mario Land 2 is probably my favorite Mario game, and I feel like you are a little floatier in that.
You are way floatier in that game.
Yeah, I feel like Mario just kind of falls like a brick.
Yeah, you can go on.
All right, so this comment has 9 likes, and it's, how do you have an opinion about a game you've barely played? You've only seen someone play it. You have no opinion, dude. Play the game before you gain an opinion about something you know little about, let alone haven't even experienced yourself. Get some perspective. So in the video, I think I said something like, I've never beat Mario and I've only watched other people beat it, which is true. I have played the game though. Like, I don't... I'm playing the game in the video. Like, I don't know.
I think it's also, I mean, one of the beautiful things about Mario Bros. 1, which is why I think it's so great, is, and this is well documented, well talked about by the creators and everything, is that it teaches you everything you need to know about the game in the first level. Not even just the first level. In your first, like, 10 steps as Mario in that game, it teaches you everything you need to know about that game. So I would argue that you do know everything you need to know about Mario just playing the first level. The rest of it is just iteration upon iteration upon iteration of different, like, platforming, challenges that you have to get through. I think that's a silly comment.
Yeah, I guess the other thing about why I haven't beat Mario is that any time I've gotten farther into the game, it feels like it's kind of, like you said, like you learn everything you need to learn in the first level, and then it just kind of gets harder. And it's like, if it didn't hook me that much when it was easy, it getting harder isn't going to make me like it more. I'm not one of those types of people, really, I guess. So, I don't know. I just haven't beat Mario. Also, I don't think you need to beat a game to have perspective on it, because it's like, what, can no one have a perspective on Tetris? You can't beat it.
I've like 98% at Dark Souls. That's my favorite game of all time. And anyone who says that can't be my favorite game, then I'm here to meet you in the street for a fight. Bro.
I've never even beat Skyrim. I've never even got a credit.
Wow.
That's my favorite game.
Wow. Yeah.
I get distracted. There's so much to do. 40-plus-year-old who grew up with these games here. I respect your opinion on SMB1, though I disagree with it somewhat. I think it's held up a lot better than most games from the era, but I will admit that as the first game in the series, it's definitely the least refined. If you'd like some context on why it was so groundbreaking at the time, try playing the original Donkey Kong or the original Mario Bros. I mean the original single-screen arcade game, again, NES or arcade version is fine, you will find truly clunky controls that don't factor in momentum nor allow you to pull back in mid-jump. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I think those are all valid points. Like, I wouldn't, the video is titled Classic Games. I am acknowledging these games are classics and probably deserve to be considered as such. Pokemon Stadium, maybe not. But besides that, sure, they all deserve to be considered classics. Thank you, for commenting the way you did.
Yeah, great
not
comment.
Everyone did that.
That's great comment. And I'm glad that someone did mention the original Mario Bros, not Super Mario Bros, because the single-screen arcade game, Mario Bros. I mean, I bet there's some people that have played Super Mario Bros that have never played that game. There's a lot of really fun, interesting ideas and concepts in that single-screen arcade game that did make it into Super Mario Bros, so that's a great game to be familiar with if you're not.
No, it's definitely a big jump. I have only played the 2600 version, which I assume is probably the worst.
Yes.
Based on how
maybe not the worst, because I don't know exactly where else it was ported, but that was the version I had growing up, which I loved because it was like on my 2600 back in the day. I was like, oh, this game is more than just like
one
dot. Yeah. So I loved that, but it was a clunky game and it much better than the arcade.
All right. This is a comment from Charles Matthew. You suck at eye-hand coordination. Older games require faster reaction time and faster synapse. I just think it's funny that they messed up both synapses and hand-eye coordination in this comment, kind of calling me stupid.
I thought that was on purpose, like I can has cheeseburger.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, Super Mario Wonder took away the time counter for a Mario game for the first time. And everyone talked about how that was such a great move. Why did they do that before? And it's like, really, like, they could have taken it away back then. Like, is this a point? Like, we struggled so much collectively as both consumers and creators in this industry for decades of like, what is the whole point? Is this a skill-based thing where I'm supposed to be, putting up a score? Is this a world I'm supposed to be experiencing? Like, like in the NES era, that was really the first time they were even starting to acknowledge that. And obviously Mario has like a point system, but I don't ever remember. I'm a 40-plus-year-old person who grew up with these games, and I don't ever remember trying to like get the high score on Mario Bros. Like ever. I was just trying to stay alive.
Like there are ways to make games hard that isn't being an NES game with no save states and like 3 lives, and sometimes enemies just pop up on the screen and you have to memorize. Like that's not as rewarding to me. All right, this one's an interesting comment that, well, first off, is just kind of funny, but also it brings up some interesting things a lot of people were saying that confused me a bit. For some like me that has a Nintendo console set up and a CRT TV on my living room for everyday play and beaten a lot of the games, it hurts every word that you speak. Those are fighting words. My suggestion is you need to get an NES and play it and enjoy it. Then you will never look back. Surrender to Nintendo. And my response to you, David, is first off, great comment. That's just funny, and I like it.
Yes.
I've surrendered to Nintendo a long time. I literally have two...
Sega.
I do like Sega, but I literally have 2 Nintendo characters, like, as tattoos. Like, if that's not surrendering to Nintendo, I don't know what else is. I have an NES. It's even a top loader. That's how serious I am about my NES, and I play it all the time. It's genuinely weird to me that saying I don't like Mario, all of a sudden people are like, oh, this guy that has a retro games channel doesn't like retro games.
Hey, I don't like 3D Mario. I do not like Mario 64.
That's probably more of a... I think Mario 64 is a better game than most 2D Mario.
Them's fighting words.
Someone said Skyrim sucks ass, which is just mean. I guess it's because I was comparing it to Breath of the Wild, so I kind of deserve it, but fine. Whatever.
Your children, our children's children will be talking about how Skyrim is not a classic game. Does not hold up.
All right. Mr. Dogbrain says, SMB has awesome controls, dude. Your take is just awful. Stick to playing Pokemon Go, weirdo. This person kind of came around to me. I think we became friends at some point. I said I don't play Pokemon Go. They asked me if I played Five Nights at Freddy's. I said no. And then they said that they work at Rockstar, and they asked me about GTA 6. I don't know. It was a weird conversation, but thank you, I guess. I don't know. I don't really play Pokemon Go, though. It didn't hook me.
A child tried to explain Five Nights at Freddy's to me and walked me through the game. I still don't get that game at all.
That's not much of a hot take. I don't think. I mean, especially in this community.
It's a movie. I really do think the physics in the game are really good. Like when we were trying to do the speed running, when we had that speed running night at Materia, I had never really stopped to really like concentrate and hone in on some of those move sets and like trying to like jump and then go into a backward move and then get down a pipe. Like, I mean, you kind of have to have a really good controller, which is also hard to find these days. But if you can get like a really good refurbished NES controller or some tight controls, you almost need that, because if you don't have the right tool for the job, you know, that's not going to help at all either. So I do think the controls are really great.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I just genuinely maybe don't like how Mario controls, and that little factor kind of stacks on top of all the other things, and then the result is I don't really like Super Mario Bros. 1.
Did you like Super Mario Run?
I've never
on the
played
cell
it.
phone.
I've never
The
played
cell
it. I
phone
played
game?
the Sonic Run or whatever that one
Oh, I
was
didn't
called.
even know that existed.
Yes, there is a similar game that's Sonic. This comment is interesting. I think you need to find another topic to talk about, or rather, do some growing up. Straight, harsh truth, I know, but you look stuck in life. Please don't waste whatever precious youth you have making this type of content. It's been done over and over. Get some life skills and be a different type of success. I think the gist of this is you're telling me to like party more and then get a different job. I party as much as I need to. I'm not that into it. I kind of like video games more. I'm not being forced to do this or anything.
Well, you are a professional YouTuber. Like, you
I
make
am,
all your money. Like, that's why you're living the lavish lifestyle.
Exactly.
that
That's how I afford all of the games and stuff, is my YouTube success. They also commented on our first Patreon, actually, so thank you. We can shout you out if you want to, but I've always felt like that's a little odd to just randomly say people's names that join your Patreon. But if you want us to shout you out, we will. But they commented on that, the person like asking about our Patreons comment was like, do not give these people money. They don't deserve it. It's like, dude, you're acting like we've done something truly horrible.
We have $1.
Like,
I think we have $1. We're getting $1.
we are getting $1 a month.
Maybe that's what we deserve. $1. I mean, I'm not on the internet as much as other people because I am old. I feel like this is the types of conversations I've been waiting to have, because I do think that if we don't have these cross-generational conversations, the hobby is going to die, or it's just going to move on. It's going to be like Citizen Kane. Like, no one's watching that, because why? Yeah. But that's because maybe there's not enough old people trying to talk to us about Citizen Kane and why it's so great or whatever. I don't know. Was she trying to say that this was just like clickbait? Like, we're just trying to say something like crazy?
I think it's someone your age or older saw someone very Gen Z looking saying a thing they didn't like.
Yeah,
and they were like
very Gen Z.
They were like, go out and party, I guess. I don't know. You know, this stuff has been talked about.
Oh,
what is that noise?
That's what my cat wants down here. What more incentive do you need to give us money other than we're in my basement where my cat is locked upstairs trying to come down to get her food in the automatic feeder, which is still going?
This stuff has been talked about a lot on YouTube. I mean, I argue we do a decent amount differently, just in
maybe that Mario's a bad game. Like,
yeah,
people are on there saying
no one else is saying that exactly. Like, you can't say this stuff's done too much and then get mad that I'm saying things you wouldn't say.
I got so tired of hearing how great Final Fantasy VII was, or even Ocarina of Time. Like, yeah, I love Ocarina of Time. That's one of my favorite games. One of my greatest experiences ever playing a video game was playing Ocarina of Time. Man, I got so tired of that being called the greatest game of all time. And now we've moved on. And yeah, we've talked about Wind Waker, and there's all these people that love Twilight Princess even more and all this stuff. You know, like, that's great. That being stuck on the whole Ocarina is the greatest game of all time was not a fun conversation to have until the end of time.
Yeah, and if you think there are like objective rights and wrongs to these conversations, they're not going to be very productive ever. You need to be open to people thinking different things. I'm sorry, but that's a harsh truth. I also, some of these comments made me realize I shouldn't have said the Travis Scott joke.
That was hilarious.
I thought it was fun, but I said it very dryly, and like I didn't elaborate at all on what I was talking about. And it's like the people that got mad at me for not liking Mario aren't going to know that there was a Travis Scott concert in Fortnite. That was the joke I was making. I don't play Fortnite. I played it twice in 2017, and I was like, I can't wait for this game to die. And then I was wrong. It might have been 2018. I don't know. It was around there. It was in high school. I feel like I should have at least laughed after I said it or something, so people would get that it was a joke, and I don't actually want Travis Scott and Mario. I mean, I'd take it, I guess. It'd be funny.
You know, I think a lot of people have nostalgia for World 1-1 and 1-2 because that's as far as most people got. Like, I remember my aunt playing those, and she never got further than that. Like, and I remember the first time I found the pipes and the warp pipes, or friends telling me about that. And like, if you were lucky enough to grow up during that era, man, it was awesome. I in some ways, I wish we could go back to a simpler time where that was, you woke up on, you had, it's Christmas right now, or Christmas break now, but just be able to just sit and play a bunch of old 8-bit games over Christmas, that was a pretty awesome time. That, to me, like, you know, putting on a headset and playing COD with my bros. Like, I don't know if that's what people do. That's not what I do. But it was just a different time. And if you happen to live during that time, you know, cherish that. But millions and millions and millions of people who play video games did not experience that. Yeah, it's going to die if we don't show younger generations these games and be able to talk about it in a way where it's not like, you need to appreciate this fully the way I did, or you don't get to talk about it. That's just silly. But yeah.
Yeah. In 50 years, people will take a gaming in the U.S. before 2000s class instead of U.S. film before 1960 class.
And they're going to show this YouTube video. Nah.
Yes.
No one has even watched this video to this point. This is going to be our lowest viewed video. No one's even going to see it.
I'm going to clickbait it pretty good.
Perfect.
I'm going to try a lot of things, and hopefully I will, because it's time to talk about our Patreon. You just put your first review out.
I did. I just put my first review. Read it. If you subscribe to the Patreon, you should read it.
It's for Metaphor Refantasio, so it's the first relevant review we've ever done. That's huge. I also put a new review out recently about it's a retro game I do love, which is Kirby's Dream Land 3. That's an awesome game. Yeah, check out our Patreon. We're actually putting stuff on there. We have big plans, and they're going to be awesome. And yeah, let us know. What do you guys think? Do you think the original Mario holds up? Have you seen the video? Do you think I was completely out of line? Let us know what you think. And if you did make it to this point, we really appreciate it, because it does help us a lot if you watch the whole video. It's kind of YouTube likes when you do that. So thank you. And yeah, have a good, happy new year.
Thank you.